Red Bull have been on the receiving end of the stick for the majority of the season, but it seems to be reaching its peak in recent weeks. Race after race, there is a team or person making sure to remind the world of how bad Red Bull is, may it be on track or off it. And this week, no one less than McLaren CEO Zak Brown took aim at Red Bull's team culture and the possibility of Max Verstappen departing. Could he be onto something? Does he know stuff we don't? And is Red Bull really that bad? McLaren CEO Zak Brown has called Red Bull's current climate as pretty toxic and feels the team's recent issues are far from finished. Despite leading both championships, Red Bull has had a hard start to 2024, both on and off the track. On the track, they have seen their lead severely diminished by McLaren and Ferrari, both of which have won races this season. Away from the circuit, the Milton Keynes-based team has had to deal with an alleged improper behaviour inquiry into team principal Christian Horner, which he was cleared of, as well as Adrian Newey's departure. Brown recently spoke about Red Bull's woes on Bloomberg's Hot Pursuit podcast, and he believes the team's problems are far from over. Red Bull is a pretty toxic environment right now, Brown stated. There's more to come. Newey's departure is an important one because I think a lot of people at Red Bull started working with him. I already mentioned that there were resumes circulating. That happens all the time, but you see a higher level of discomfort. I also think that in the future it will be more difficult with sponsors because they are going to examine carefully what they are associated with. That's a tricky situation. The McLaren CEO was also eager to highlight the uncertainties surrounding Verstappen's future. Verstappen is under contract with Red Bull until the end of 2028, although some believe he may go before then. Brown feels the Red Bull team has deteriorated as a result of recent events, specifically the departure of Adrian Newey. You have the whole Verstappen drama. Is he staying or is he leaving? Max has a contract, only his father is pretty outspoken, added Brown. Red Bull is a great racing team but destabilised. You can see that with Newey leaving. However, you can never erase them. As I said, they are an incredible team. Just by my reasoning, they are not as strong as they used to be. If I look at who has the best path of visibility and momentum right now, it's Ferrari and McLaren. Things can change quickly though, so we have to keep both feet on the ground. What do you think? Will Red Bull see more people leaving in the upcoming months? I'm not sure. They seem to have put their key personnel on long-term contracts. But their key personnel are making some mistakes, at least according to Mercedes and James Allison. This came to light as Mercedes suspected that Red Bull's current Formula One troubles are the result of a recent upgrade package that delivered a downgrade in performance. Red Bull has lost 2 of the past 4 Formula One races, and Max Verstappen's victory at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix came only after he held off a late race drive by Lando Norris, who finished immediately behind him, and the Canada victory was a tight one as well. While the focus of Red Bull's struggles has been on the RB20's curb riding issues, Mercedes technical director James Allison believes the matter is more complicated. He believes that Red Bull's major improvement package to Imola, which featured a new floor and front wing, may not have achieved the desired results, which might explain the team's issues. I guess as soon as there's a decent range of cornering speeds, they'll be useful again, but it does look as if their upgrade was a downgrade, said Allison at the Canadian Grand Prix about what he thought was going on at Red Bull. So, fingers crossed that would really mess them up. That, an upgrade not working, makes life hard, because the moment you stop trusting your tools, you have to backtrack and you lose loads of time. Time is your biggest friend. Losing it is your worst enemy. When asked if witnessing Red Bull fall back into the pack had sparked Mercedes' joy, Allison said, "Everyone always loves other people's misery in this game." After those nasty comments from its competitors, Red Bull team head Christian Horner couldn't let it slide and has taken a sly dig back at Mercedes for claiming that their recent Formula One upgrade was a downgrade. But with Red Bull winning the Canadian Grand Prix and Mercedes' George Russell finishing 3rd after starting on pole, Horner couldn't resist a quick jab regarding Allison's words. "Even with our downgrade, we managed to beat their upgrade," Horner stated. "It was a rewarding race to win." Despite Mercedes' danger in Canada, Horner believed it was still too early to claim that the German manufacturer was fully back in the game. "Mercedes have always gone well on green circuits and there are no real high-speed corners here," he stated. "So with the asphalt change, it played possibly to their strengths. So let's see over the next 3 tracks if it is genuine form or if it's a one-off." It was obvious from the start that Horner was going to hit back at those comments. But Red Bull fans are worried about other things. Will they be able to defend their championships this and upcoming years? This all had to do with one thing: Sergio Perez. Red Bull Racing almost proudly renewed Sergio Perez's contract. Still, it's unfortunate that the top team is saddled with a driver who has demonstrated for years that he isn't talented enough for the top. How did Red Bull let this happen? Fans are wondering if Red Bull have lost it and are more interested in marketing than winning after all. And their decision to keep Sergio Perez has also resulted in further criticism, especially now it had been revealed that Helmut Marko didn't want to keep Perez in the first place. So, had Horner gone too far with this decision? And to make matters even worse, Perez crashed in the last 2 races. What a way to celebrate your new contract, right? What are your thoughts on it? Have Red Bull doomed themselves by resigning Perez? Oh, and next to that, Perez has a grid penalty for the upcoming Barcelona race because Red Bull instructed him to keep driving with a broken car to avoid another safety car. And Will Buxton argued that a Red Bull fine and Sergio Perez grid penalty were not anywhere near enough punishment for the Canadian GP event, even mentioning the Crashgate scandal. Perez went out on lap 53 of 70 at the Canadian Grand Prix, going backwards into the barriers at turn 5 and destroying his rear wing. Perez would return to the track and retire, incurring a 3-place grid penalty for the next race in Spain, as well as a €25,000 punishment for Red Bull. By returning to the pits with a damaged car, Perez violated Article 26.10 of F1's sporting regulations, which says that if a driver has serious mechanical difficulties, he must leave the track as soon as it is safe to do so. This caused the stewards to issue a 3-place grid deduction for the Spanish Grand Prix, while Red Bull was punished for instructing Perez to return his RB20 to the pit lane. Red Bull's Max Verstappen eventually won the Canadian Grand Prix. Buxton believes that the sentence is insufficient for the offence in question. He would even suggest that there are only a few degrees of separation between this event and the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix Crashgate controversy, in which Renault instructed Nelson Piquet Jr. to crash for teammate Fernando Alonso, who went on to win the race. Personally, I don't think the repercussions for the team are anywhere near enough, Buxton said on his X account. The team have admitted they told Perez to knowingly break the rules and in so doing endanger other drivers. That's why the rule exists, so as to avoid a safety car which they knew could lose them the win. Reverse the outcome of the reasoning and you have a team telling a driver to break the rules to create a safety car to help them win. It's a few degrees of separation. One is a grid drop and a fine, the other is Singapore 08. He then clarified in a separate post when a fan asked if the move had similar implications to Crashgate. Absolutely not saying it was deliberate. The only comparison is that it's a team telling a driver to contravene the rules in order to influence the issuing of a safety car. Simply find it interesting Red Bull would admit their thinking on this so openly. Perez had another tough race weekend in Canada despite signing a new multi-year Red Bull contract in the days leading up to the event. He has been without a podium since the Chinese Grand Prix in April, and with his current form he won't be stepping on a podium anytime soon. So, after all this, the big question is Red Bull doomed? You decide. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to add what you think Red Bull should do to improve and secure the championships. I'll see you in the next video.